Hello, welcome to our December Zach Chats with our very, very special guest, Pam Gregory, Master Astrologer and a very treasured and highly respected friend and human being. An extremely warm welcome to you, dearest Pam.
Delighted to be here with you. These are always joyful sessions when we get together. I so love spending time with Zach and his incredibly high wisdom, and we all benefit from that. So thank you again for having me here.
Oh, brilliant. It was such a gift hearing you speak with Richard Rudd, author of the fabulous Gene Keys last month. And today it's just fantastic having you back to pose more of your astrological and global questions to Zach, who, as many of you know, is an aspect of the Ascended Master Djwal Khul and is channeled through our amazing friend Janet Treloar. And welcome to you, dearest Janet.
Hello, everyone. It's wonderful, as always, to be back here again and to listen to the wisdom and the, well, divine information really that comes through Zach. We've had many, many conversations now with Pam. Zach and Pam seem to get on very well and be on the same wavelength, which brings forward just a wealth of so many new questions. It's really, really fascinating. And for those of you that are new, I think you'll find some links below to the other conversations we've had. And Hazel and I have a Patreon membership. And there's lots of free Zach chats, but there's also deep dives and meditations if you want to find out even more about our wonderful Zach and all that he shares. He's very much a guide for the future. He's on point with what's happening right now, but it's timeless wisdom. We always say that it's timeless. You can go back years and years and you will listen and you'll hear things that are happening right now. It really is quite fascinating. So I've been channeling him for many, many years. And you'll notice that as I channel, I'll have my eyes shut and it does sound different. There's a bit of a dodgy accent, I'm afraid, but it's all encoded with the energy of Zach coming through. So it's allowing it to wash over you as well, as well as the information, but just how it actually comes across is very personable.
Yes, he's absolutely lovely. Would you like to bring him through now, Janet?
I will. I'll allow you to carry on chatting because it only takes me a couple of minutes. And I've already tuned in, so he's not far away.
Brilliant. Thank you. I think rather than chatting, it's just nice just to feel the energy as Zach starts to come into our awareness.
Welcome, my dears. Welcome,
Oh,
welcome.
oh, welcome, welcome. Wonderful, Zach. Thank you so much for coming back. It's a delight to see you and your dearest friend Pam here together again.
Thrilled to connect with you again, Zach, and hear more of your beautiful, very high level wisdom. We benefit from it so much on this fast whitewater rafting journey that we're on. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Pleasure, my dears. Where shall we begin?
Well, where I'd like to begin, I know you don't do time on the 26th dimension, but if you can shed any light on some specific dates, it would help we humble humans on Earth a great deal. And you recently mentioned that we would be going through quite a jump in consciousness at the end of next March, which is very strong astrologically. So anything you can share about that. I'd also like any other light you can share on December the 12th, December the 21st, which of course is the Capricorn solstice, and late February next year. So those 4 dates, anything you can share with us in terms of jumps ahead in our consciousness, we would be thrilled to hear about.
Let's take them in a linear fashion. So
Okay.
first of all, you were talking of 12, 12, are you not? Of
Indeed.
4. Ah, numerologically, there is already much to unpack with that. However, what potentials is showing very much as you are moving through this particular time, it is again a search towards the solstice. What is happening is a bit of a crossroads at that point, or shall we say more like a fork in the road. And a lot of people are choosing which path to take. Now, this isn't a path that there is no way back from. It is just simply that there is much, much energy. We have talked before about the energy that is coming from the center of the cuboid of the universe that you know of at this time. The scalar rays, many other, the difference in the frequencies, the Schumann frequencies, and so forth. This is pushing people to points within their personality where they are changing quite greatly to the extent that sometimes they do not even recognize exactly what they are doing. Now, what this actually means is that sometimes people are finding maybe that they have an abundance of compassion, empathy for others. And it's not to say they weren't before, but actually this is pushing them into positions or emotions that they are not used to feeling. Or it could be that they have been finding that they are wanting to be more collaborative with others. We have talked about this different Hazel in DP dives and chitty chats, much of this about collaboration. Now, what is happening around the 12th is that at this point, if this is a bit too much like rocket fuel, people are getting the opportunity to take a slower path. Or it's a bit like if you want to go fast track or a little bit slower, okay? There is a convergence, we will call it. There's a convergence in the heavens that is happening around that actual time. Now, that energy, it is actually a very practical way. This is not so mystic. This is a very practical thing that affects through the energy body. And it is as if the energy body, the soul itself, your deepest personality, where it connects with your soul, is choosing, do I want to take the faster, quicker, lighter energy, or stay on track where it's still lighter, but not so push. So you may find that around that time, you feel a little bit of confusion. That is often how it comes out in thoughts forms. As if you forget quite a lot of things, a bit unsure what you are doing. But what is actually happening is the deeper part of you is really focusing in. Does this make sense to you, different Pamela?
Yes.
Well, of course, the convergence. Does this fit with how you are feeling that this will be affecting people?
Yes, absolutely. And I've often used the analogy of being at an airport and you've either chosen fast track or slow track, but we're all going to get on the plane of unity consciousness. I've used that often. So yes, I very much understand, Zach. Thank you.
And I would just like to add, I'm talking, of course, to every single individual, how to feel for self. But what you will see in the world is also where individuals are coming together, communities and so forth. That has an energy of its own. Organizations, companies, governments, they have an energy of their own. So if you look closely, not necessarily by what you are being told, but if you feel into a particular thing, something that maybe you have a strong connection, heart connection with, or you would like to know, you will get a feeling if they are, as you say, going fast track or just a slightly slower track. And you would get that feel. If something is on a fast track, I would say, send them wings in your heart, wish them well, because it can be quite, it's like the G-force. It is a lot going on, but at the same time, it does propel forward great things. And this is all in good order for the shift and change, which will be gentler around solstice, but very, very powerful. Shall we move on to solstice, my dear, or did you want to ask more regarding the 12th?
No, solstice would be terrific because that's very powerful too. I'm aware astrologically.
This particular year, solstice, very, very important. Very, very important. And it is certainly the lead up a couple of weeks before and roughly 4 or 5 days afterwards. Okay. Now, the reason why we say it is very, very important, it is a time of quietness and maybe a little bit of reflection as well. It is a time to take stock, of course. But what it actually is doing is it is setting the scene for the year ahead, far more so than a New Year ever does, or Christmas or any of these holiday seasons. The solstice itself is attuning through Mother Earth through the universe, through the cosmos, through the stars, through the planets, through everything. It is aligning with your heart, and it is almost like a guidance counselor. The energy coming in that it says, what do you really want for the year ahead? Some people deep in their hearts will say, whoa, I would like a bit of an easier time. I would like things to be slower. Other people say, I want to get things done. I want things to really happen this year. Now, you do not have to consciously think of these things. Don't think, oh no, I have to get a list out ready for solstice, as if solstice is like Santa Claus, choosing your gifts. What you're actually doing is it will just, the energy links deeply with the heart. If there is something predominant in your heart that you deeply desire, it is aligning you to the strongest potential for that to happen. If this is a love relationship, if this is your health and well-being, if this is regarding your finances, if this is regarding your home, if this is regarding how the world is playing out, ecology, whatever it may be, those things that are the priority in your heart, the solstice is setting the scene for, and it has the capacity to do all of it. Now, I'm talking very much of the solstice as if it has its own consciousness. However, a bit like in your fairy tales, like Jack Frost and so forth, the solstices, far more than the spring and autumn equinox, does have a powerful, almost female male energy about them. And dependent whether you are northern or southern hemisphere, you may feel a difference. In the northern hemisphere, it can feel very masculine, this solstice, and in the southern, it can feel very feminine. But that is by the by. This is just to let you know of the energy you may feel. It is very, very valuable to spend some time in those weeks coming up just to be quiet, in yourself, and just allow yourself to align, to come into coherence with your heart, to let your heart lead you for where it is going. Because there has been so much that has happened, particularly the last 5 to 7 years, as you all know. And we are into the rebuilding time. Whether it looks like this or not, it is a rebuilding time. And that is why the energy, the consciousness, you could say, of solstice is actually looking, not just all humans, but every living creature upon the planet, and living like living bodies of water, living land masses. There is an energy. It doesn't think in quite the emotional way, should we say, that humans do, but it is providing energy to come into what is growth, what is betterment, what is moving forward. So this solstice is a sweet, sweet, like the sweetest chocolate on your lips. It's very nice. You understand?
Yeah, beautiful. And I'm seeing that very, very clearly in the astrology, what you're sharing there, Zach. Beautiful. So can you, if we move on now to late February, I don't know if you're seeing something there, and certainly I know late March, around the equinox and towards the end of March, that's super powerful astrologically. What can you share that's coming up for us there, please?
So as we move into the later part of February, this is where we're expecting the turbulence. There may be some turbulence in January, but coming up to later February. Now, when we say turbulence, it is natural that people think, oh no, my world is going to be rocked, everything is not good. But actually, when you are shake, a bit like when you shake your body, you can shake off the old things. You can shake awake other parts. So turbulence is not always what people just think of as negative. This turbulence is more that it is something that is like a ripple effect across the world. And so it will be more noticeable because it will be affecting the larger things, perhaps governments, certainly large organizations in particular, particularly things that looked very stable before may start to look rocky. Now, that is not, jumping ahead and saying, oh, everything is going to fall apart. Not that, but things have to change. If you are on unstable ground, if your house suddenly realizes the foundations are not right, you have to do something. You have to do something to make it stable. And whether that is going back to the start, back to the foundations, to make them right and proper for the time that we are living in now, or whether it is to start again. So you may expect to see, even in your family, even in your relationships, that there is energy coming up. But if you are feeling it, if you are seeing it, if you think this is very shaky, think about the stability that you can have by coming into coherence with self, the energy you can have by being very grounded, being very aware, and knowing that you are an immortal spirit of light, that you have the ability, more power in your tiny little pinky than you ever knew that you ever had, to actually remain constant. Be clear in your heart what you want, what you need. Keep kindness, compassion, and all the things that we talk about, in your heart. But also by doing that, you will provide more of a foundation layer for whatever is actually going on around you. And you will see the things that may be outside of you that you're not involved in, but you are seeing a more stable view. And you can start to see ahead. You can become a bit of a time traveler when you're in coherence. Sounds quite paradoxical to say the more you're in coherence, the more centered, the more you can see ahead. But it allows you ability to move into lots of potentials that are not just your own, but also because you are part of the global tribe, of this beautiful planet, to be able to see into the potentials of where it is going. And in as much as you can, we know being human is not always the easiest task, but as much as you can, stay positive for things. Even if you can see that there may be something that to your own feeling may be quite negative, the outcome, allow yourself to say, but what if this happened, and then put the energy to that. It is not about manifesting it. It is not about forcing an issue, but the more light you can put into a situation or anything that is ongoing, something that you are feeling, sensing, seeing in your world or the greater part of the world, the more you are adding into that matrix of formation of potential wonderment for betterment. That's a bit of a mouthful, is it not, my dear?
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And that's a phrase I use a lot, for the highest good of all. Absolutely.
And fit, my dear, with your views for late February?
Yes, it absolutely does. A lot of turbulence and a lot of fast moving change and dynamism for sure. And then late March looks very exciting, actually. The equinox and right at the end of March looks very, very positive and exciting astrologically. So what can you share around that time, please, Zach, for us?
So following on from the turbulence of late February, what we are expecting is there to be again a surge of energy around the end of March, but this is more of a peaceful surge. What we mean by that is a growth surge. It is a bit like the difference between sowing the seeds and harvesting what comes off. So there is dynamism, as you say, there is energy, but as you say, it is more excitement than anxiety. It is seeing things start to blossom. It is seeing out of all the hard work and the chaos, the new shoots coming up. And this isn't just for one section of society or for the young or for the old. This is for everyone. This is about the growth of humanity, and it's starting to be really represented, really seen, not having to look through the magnifying glass to try and find the good that is coming, but it actually being all around you. And all of these things that we're told of, what we're told of for like the 12th of December, all these potentials, fast track, all these things that can be quite aggressive within, it can feel energetically. There is a smoothness, there is a completion that is coming. There is a feeling like after you've run a very long race, the joy once you have finished, and you get the euphoria, you get the good stuff, So there'll always be more that is happening. But we expect in the end of March for the majority of people to be seen as a betterment that is coming. Okay? You understand, yes?
Yes, absolutely wonderful. And anything more on that, Zach, before the next question?
Simply that you can feel like you are hopping lanes. Or as I often say, at the train station, you are getting off of one train, boarding another. So even in that peace and that feeling of completion, you may feel an urge, not to jump ship, not for everything to change, but for something different that right in this moment now, you'd look back at this and think, well, I wasn't thinking that then. I didn't know I would want that then. Because as the heart's desires start to be fed and filled, other things come through, other ideas. This is a time, 2025 in particular, is the year of invention. And more importantly, inventions coming to fruition. It is the creative year. There's always creativity in people and blah, 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 blah. But this year in particular, the energy that you have got that has been building through the cosmos is one of creativity that is now bursting forward. So it is a bit like a child that is learning how to paint, learning for quite a while. You know, the pictures don't look that good. They are learning, but as they are learning their craft, and this is the thing with the creativity, then the inspiration, and then things start to have more of a master quality. Are you expecting this as well, different, Pamela?
Yes, absolutely. There's a real blossoming that is really beginning in a bigger way at the end of March, and a very significant transit of Neptune into Aries for the first time in 165 years. So yes, absolutely. And I think you've referred to this yourself, Zach, but as I understand it, humanity's been able to raise its consciousness high enough that we've gone beyond an important tipping point, which means that not only humanity, but the Earth and indeed the whole galaxy is on the highest timeline now. Is there anything you can share with us about that?
Absolutely. There was a bit of a wobble, a few wobbles, to be honest, that has happened with humanity. And there have been times I've always been a huge fan of humanity, as you know. I've always known it would get there. It's just timing can be a little bit difficult. What we would say, even though it took a little bit longer than the original predictions, I will use that word for once. I do not often use that, but should we say predictions of the universe, predictions of your particular part of the cube of the universe, or where it would be at? Now you are back on track. Now that there is reached a tipping point. Now, as you are listening, if you are thinking, what is Zach talking about? I still see conflict in the world. I still see this. I still see that. Yes, but deep in people's hearts, there is more harmony, believe it or not. There is more awareness that what they feel, others feel. There is more awareness that what people really want is happiness, is love, affection, coming together. And there is not necessarily a movement that you would see in your outside world at this moment of capitalism and the material things, and you live in a physical world. That will never go away. Once you have physical things, people will desire physical things or need physical things, more importantly. However, what we are saying is that what we are seeing in the tipping point, and one of the most important things, is there is a shift. There is a shift now from not so much what people think they want or need to an awareness of what they really want and need. And this really is coming back to the heart. You know, we talk so much about the heart, but not in this glib way. The heart is powerful. The universe, the entirety of the universe is refracted. We're using that word in a slightly different way, in a holographic fashion, within your heart. Really think about that. If the universe is within your heart and you are in the universe, you are absolutely aligned to the same goal. The goal of the universe is not expansion, which is what is happening. People think that is the goal. No, the expansion is happening to allow the awareness of itself. So therefore, the awareness of the universe, but for you, the awareness of your heart to come into its full, natural, most light version of self. And this can happen now we are past the tipping point. Because when you are past the tipping point, the majority are carrying the rest with it. There is no, these people do this and these people do that. Yes, I talked about a fork in the road, but how, as you said yourself, talking about an airport, you're still going to get to the same destination. And it could be how quickly, but also how it suits you, how it suits your personality. You know, it may suit one personality to go bang, 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 quick, 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 do, and another to take a far more meandering route. Not right, not wrong, what suits the personality. So honor also the personality that you have been carving out, creating, inventing throughout the entirety of your life. It will pay you dividends to acknowledge who you truly are. Yes, of course, change these things, whatever that you want to work on, but at the same time, acknowledge who you are and be proud of the personality that you have created. And in so doing, you can then forge further, even further with the tipping point. The more people accept and are willing to be who they truly are, the more their heart lights up, the more power they have then to aid everyone to move together into a far more comfortable and enjoyable way to be human here on earth. Understand? Yes.
Yeah, beautiful, Zach. Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful answer. And can I just ask, my understanding is, and it would be great to get you to share more on this, is that yes, we have a physical heart, yes, we have a heart chakra, but I understand we also have some kind of energetic heart. And that is where our unique blueprint, our unique birth chart is drawn, if you like, entrenched, embedded, and also the cosmos is reflected in that energetic heart. There's a third heart. Can you expand on that a little for us, please?
Absolutely. So you have the physical heart, as you say, physical heart, very, very important. The heart chakra is not exactly in the same place as the physical heart, as you know. And so this creates this wonderful opportunity where one overlaps the other. And then we start talking about sacred geometry. And in this overlapping, the space in between, you could think of it this way. It's very hard, I know, to visualize or to think of dimension upon dimension upon dimension. But all of these dimensions in between, the sacred geometry allows the energy state to exist, to have this holographic form that I talk of the universe to be there. Now, because you are the universe, and the universe is you, as we have said so many different times, that means that you actually have the detail, particularly of your part of the keyboard of the universe, you know, the stars, everything is there within. And in that sacred geometry, you exist as your own, let us simply call you, geometric shape that fits into that. So if you think of an incredibly complicated puzzle that only can fit together in a very unique way, this is you. This is how you came together. This is about when you were conceived. This is about when you were actually born, where you were born. All of these things, implant this into the heart space, and it never ever changes. That puzzle at that point has been created. Now in life, most people simply focus on their physical heart, or many people now know about the chakra, which then is another way to actually enable you to move through everything from a more energetic point. And this is more when the emotions sit. The emotions actually sit in the tissue, the muscle tissue of your heart, but they are expressed through the chakras. But where those emotions go and where they come from is the space in between. So we're just talking emotions because we could, we could sit here and talk for the next 10, 12, 15 hours regarding this. But this is so that you can have a sort of a visual representation. But this is dimension upon dimension. It is so fine. It is why people have not spoken too much of it, because it is too complex for people to say, well, I want to, you know, completely unwrap it. But it is important to know that in that part, you know, your physical heart is yours. It is unique to you. Your chakras is more connected as well to your soul and everything else. But this blueprint, for want of a better word, using your word, Pamela, but this energy state of this dimension that holds the sacred geometry of you and the cosmos together. Now that is the most powerful part of you. And that is the part that keeps you immortal and part of the universe forever. Understand? Yes.
Yeah, wow, that's magnificent, Zach. I mean, my goodness, that's a huge statement. Beautiful. So is it, and you've referred to this previously, Zach, that we're forming a new spiritual technology now, which is going to be embedded in our heart and will blend a kind of higher mind, a higher wisdom with the heart in one unified form. Can you speak a little bit about that, please?
We could call it universal technology. Okay. Now, if the universe is too grand a word for people to think of it more as a group technology. So for millennia, people have invented, created, changed, done whatever. But then for somebody else to know, they've had to physically had to share it, to articulate it, to write it down, to be able to express the ideas, to share. You know, the philosophers over the ages, you know, all the things. And then people had to debate and think and actually make out what they thought about it as well. So it has taken a great deal of time. The leap here as well is that as people choose, this is a very important word, and this is not something that is going to be immediate, not something you are going to see next month, perhaps even not next year or so forth. But as people choose to share what is in their heart, we're not talking emotions here, we are talking about these inventions and other things. There will be capacity to share, as you might call heart to heart. A bit like with your new telephones, you know, where you share contacts or you share pictures or videos or whatever you are doing, and you can just put them near each other and you can do these things. Often you are seeing what you can do with your body first with the technology. It is invented in this way, but what people are really inventing, anything that you invent on the outside can be done from the inside, believe it or not. You have got the greatest technology that there is, not just you as humans, but all animals, insects, the fishes. What is actually in a physical, energetic, living being is so incredibly powerful, and all has a heart. And in this heart, all has the capacity to share. When you see a herd of animals, and there are many other reasons for this and so forth, so I don't want to say, oh, it is the only thing that happens. But you know, you get a group of cows, or you get a flock of birds, or a shoal of fish. When you see them moving together, as if all at the same time they've decided something, and they move together, this is not coming from here. This is coming from here. It is just they have an innate ability and have a different emotional response. And so they are freer to do this. But that is on a very minimal level. It is just to describe what we are talking of. But regarding the future and the technology of the heart in this way, there is a capacity. We do not know exactly, again, because the timelines, when it is going to happen, if it is going to happen en masse with lots of people, or if there are going to be certain people leading the way and then showing and teaching, which is more humanity's way has been up until this point, of being able to get a deep, deep sense of something. I'm using invention as this is why you would be presenting something to somebody else that they do not already know, but they would get the absolute literal heart of it. They would get all of it. Now you can imagine humans can be quite guarded. So this is one of the reasons why we are not too sure about the timeline, because people might think, oh, this is a good idea, and then say, well, do I really want to share everything that is in my heart? But actually, when we are seeing it from this point of view, and we think of it more like a technology, and just to share certain things, how quick and wonderful would this be? This would be a wonderful place. You know, somebody discovers how to do XYZ, and rather than having to go to all the chains, they can just share it heart to heart. And then another knows. It infiltrates their system and they then know too. Does this make sense to you, my dear?
Yes, absolutely. And I have such a strong sense that, from what you're saying, Zach, that it's more about feeling than in our what we've known as thinking up to now. It's a
Exactly.
wisdom of the heart. And is part of our evolution here, Zach, is part of it an ancient remembrance of our wisdom, ancient wisdom that may be helped by connecting to our galactic family and also the inner earth beings that I think is coming down the track fairly soon as well.
Absolutely. So as you started with that question before and talked about the universe, and so this is something that is, I would say, galactic. It is an intellect, let us call it that, that has permeated far further out than your Milky Way, okay? And it is this sort of technology which has been used, or should I say, that is just is part of a natural way of being outside of the human incarnation. And so you could say it is a re-remembering of that and what is done. Now, in the past, as you said, there are certain ancient peoples, those that lived in the earth and those that have lived above the earth, some that had more of an alien heritage, some that have a very human heritage, that have been able to do this to a certain level. But the difference was the energy of the planet. The frequency was naturally, because of the time, a lot lower. And so it was quite difficult to raise to a certain level where you are vibrating, because obviously you are vibrating in accordance with your environment, to a level where this would be absolutely easy and useful, unless you had somebody else that you were completely in coherence with who was vibrating at exactly the same level as you. Now the world has changed. Now the frequency, not only of the planet, but all around, and the light and all these things that we have talked of many, many times, is changing so much. You already have the basis. What you are living now is a far, far higher vibration. And you maybe just be getting on with your day to day, you know, taking the children to school, doing the shopping, doing your work, whatever. This does not mean deep spiritual practice, but your environment has changed, and therefore your frequency has changed too. And therefore it is far, far easier now when we are moving into this. So there's a level of re-remembering, but there will be far more freedom. Haha, I love that word, freedom. It is the highest vibration of all words, whatever language you say it in. So freedom, when you have that, to be able to then engage and do these things. People do not have to rush ahead. They do not have to think, oh, I need to do this straight away. It is something not to be concerned about, because this is a natural progression for humanity of still being in the physical body, but using your energy to a far greater capacity than you have ever done before. You know, you have this physical being and you have your energy state, which are entwined. But for many, many, well, for such a long time, people have held it close. And only certain initiates and so forth have done certain things. Maybe through religion and other, it has been expanded and so forth and all different things. But now we are really anticipating going into the future in a way where you can see it more as an amazing technology within you, and being able to play, be able to safely work with these things without it actually burning you out, without it being too much, because the fuel of your environment being in a higher frequency, although it can be very rattling at times, is also now giving you the extra energy to have the freedom to start to explore these things as well. Understand? Yes.
Yeah, beautiful, really beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Zach. And if I'm looking at it astrologically, it seems to me that particularly over the next 3 years until the end of 2027, there is the potential, well, it's available, I believe, for all of us, but the potential certainly for many people, if they choose it, to make a kind of jump in their state of being, what I've been calling a metamorphosis. So rather than it being linear or gradual, there is somewhere in these next 3 years a jump. And I'm seeing that very specifically and clearly at certain points over the next 3 years. And can you share what you may see on that, please?
Absolutely. So it is a little bit like what we were talking of with 12, 12,
Yep.
24. Haha.
Yep.
The fact that they be like forks in the road. But these jumps, it is almost as if you go into a place and there's a jump off point. Maybe you have been taking the more slower meandering path. And deep in your heart, you're like, oh, you know what? Everyone around me, actually, I really want to get with it. And there are these points where think of them as portals of light. Sounds very grand. But really, again, it is actually very practical. And it is a portal point. It is a point where, due to the arrangement of the cosmos and so forth, it just makes it so much easier where you are getting very, very high levels. We will simply call it light, but it is really a different type of energy that if you allow it in at that moment, it has the capacity to propel you, to catapult you forward.
Yeah.
So these are the dates that you are seeing. And so it's not like you would stumble into one. You've taken the wrong turning and suddenly you're being catapulted off somewhere. It is more a heart-led thing. Again, people feeling, maybe just being even drawn to listen to you, different Pamela, or hear people and know a date is coming up, even consciously, even if it is not just a feeling. And allowing themselves by saying, you know what, I'm brave enough now. I didn't feel brave enough before to let go, because whenever we make leaps, of course, we are leaving something behind. And that does not have to be our whole lives. That does not have to be something too dramatic, but often things shed away to make way for the new. So there may be many reasons why people are not, but it is like these points within the cosmos, these points within this linear time, which will allow people opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. There is no last train and you've missed it. There will always be another. There will always be another, because everybody here is part of the universe. The universe is doing this en masse. So it is impossible. Where are you going to go? Aha! Where are you going to pop off to? You're part of the universe. So everybody is doing this. Now, of course, if people really don't want to and they resist, they have the choice. They are moving in their environment. They will still shift and change because that's what happens with frequency. But they do not have to do any of these changes if their heart's desire is not to. So nobody is forced. And this is not something that, guides or whatever. This is not about what is in your soul, what you desire to do. Everything is in the moment. This is present moment. What is in your heart? What is your choice? What do you want to do? And the universe presenting opportunities to do that. And it is always when your heart wants to do it. So you see, there is such a synergy between the two. It is so intertwined that you do not have to worry with your intellect up here saying, I do not know if I'm going to do this or do that, do this or do that. Trust the heart. Trust whatever you feel in your heart and allow that to lead you. You do not have to tell your heart, I want you to do this. Just feel into it. You will know what feels right for you. Everybody is unique for a reason. Everybody is having a different experience for a reason. It is so that everything can happen in a way that is perfect for each individual. Understand? Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. And just to ask that, because my instinct is that we have two particular aspects which could perhaps represent what you're calling the portals of light. And they are the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which becomes exact on 20th of Feb 2026, and also the conjunction between Uranus and Sedna, dwarf planet Sedna, which begins next year. Can you comment on either of those aspects, and in terms of those portals of light which offer us leaps into a higher state of being?
Both of them are incredibly potent.
Yeah.
There are others, but you have picked out two of the biggest. Let's forget portals of light. We are talking terminals of light, like an airport terminal. These are, if you wanted even a little bit, at that moment, because the energy is so powerful. And you know what? When we are in coherence, we talk about coherence a lot. things become far more comfortable. You come into coherence with your environment. You come into coherence with the relationships around you, with the world around you. It is not about dumbing down self and just being the same others. It is about finding a vibration where you fit with it all, okay? So when these types of portals are coming up, if you have been pulling back or pushing for whatever you may be doing, and you are not in coherence, that becomes incredibly uncomfortable. For some people, uncomfortable mentally, some emotionally, so we cannot be prescriptive. Just simply that things do not flow, and it becomes very, very uncomfortable. And so these portals give an opportunity to come into coherence once again with the environment around you. Maybe you are in an environment where everything has elevated and elevated a lot, and you've been pulling back because that was your heart's desire. But now you think, oh, forget it. Why am I in this so uncomfortable? It's like being in a really tight, cramped outfit, and there's a nice leisure suit on the side, you know? You think, why am I all trussed up like this when I could go and be comfortable? And it is just simply the same with the energetic state. And so people will be drawn into that, where some people, those portals will just simply pass them by because they are in a nice coherent state with the energy and they do not feel they need it. You understand? Yes. So it'll be different for different people, but you pointed out two of the most important. There are two more, but we cannot really be sharing them at this time exactly because people will mark it on the calendar and be starting to say, I'm all right until then. I'm going to hold myself down until then, where actually it is more about the free flow. Understand?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I know what they are, but we can discuss that at a future date, Zach. So, because there's so much happening astrologically as well. And I know we've touched on this in the past, but and you have also said that you see land masses emerging from the sea or possibly re-emerging. And do they represent for you, some of them, what was ancient Lemuria, the land masses of ancient Lemuria, and what will become in future new Lemuria at a higher frequency? And they could be places of great fertility that people will migrate to as really the new foundation for New Earth.
The thing is, the land that will then be reappearing will have been infiltrated with the sea minerals and some through vast lakes and so forth. You know, the minerals and other things from the water and from the animals that have been living in them that died and then gone to the bottom. So this is fertile land. So you could see these places as new Edens for sure, because they will expose the lack of the nutrients and so forth in soil in other places. Now, this could be quite controversial because there may be a mass, you know, people wanting to take advantage to all these things. However, if we take a step back and we look, what we are really seeing is like the birth of something new. We are seeing how the waters in particular can regenerate, how the natural products, the byproducts, the decomposition of things, which we already know from composting and so forth, but actually taking it quite a few stages further, that not just on a physical level, but energetically can really inspire and bring things through. Now, in terms of Lemuria is a little bit different. As we know, spoken many times regarding Atlantis is an energy state rather than one place. There were many, many, many different Atlantises all existing at the same time. They had a different name for them. They were called different things, but the energy state overall of Atlantis. Now, Lemurian was different. It was one main landmass, but over time, it's so long ago that it's hard to tell you exactly the different timescales, but over different periods, hundreds of years, and it appeared and was used in different parts of the world as well as the most well-known. So when we say about the reappearance, I would say it is not so much being drawn to when these places existed, if it was on the same land, more what it represents. And it represents nourishment, nutrients, newness, growth. And because humanity is deeply entrenched with the need to rediscover that, these places may feel incredibly appealing and incredibly sacred. I would say, let's forget in a way. Haha, very controversial. Let's forget about Lemuria. Let's forget about Atlantis. Let's just simply say, let's make a new Earth that is a new, beautiful, highly energetic place that is taking these things almost like a fresh new baby. We know the baby has had lots of past lives, but while they're little, we are just interested in all its little cooing and all its little new nuances and the personality it is developing. So it is not saying that you, Pamela, are held onto these things, just simply that many people may attach to these places. It is this, it is that, but it is far more important what it represents, and what it represents in terms of what can be learned from those new masses to be able to repopulate the soil and so forth in other places. Even taking a small sprinkling from some of the new and then putting it over into some places which are particularly depleted, the equivalent of a few grains to quite a large area, has the capacity to start to re-energize and re-nutrify places of deep lack as well. Understand? Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. And, I've often said in videos I expected that we would be eating differently, perhaps more concentrated, highly nutritious food, and some of that would come from the deep sea as it reemerges into land. And you seem to be suggesting that we could have some highly nutritious forms of food going forwards. So we would eat less, we'd have less need for volume eating, as it were, because it would be so nutritious for us.
Absolutely. So the vegetables and other that grow above the ground, dependent obviously soil and all the rest of it, can be highly, highly nutritious. However, the vegetables, let us call them sea vegetables, that are naturally occurring in the waters of both salt water and fresh water, are far more densely packed, because the animals that live in these parts, they do not need to eat so much, but they have a density of the nutrition. Now, of course, if the oceans and rivers are plundered in this way, it could go in the same way. However, if people are aware, as you were saying, that there is not a need to consume so much, see it more as a supplementation towards their food. There is a huge amount, and because so much of the oceans is still undiscovered, there are more and more, let us call them species of different types, like sea carps and other certain things, that can then be a little bit taken, but then be farmed in a similar way, but upon the land, in water, of course, but in a way that this could be supplement, but also some of it be nutrients into soil and others for your more traditional land vegetables. You understand? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So we're really back to water being the primary evolutionary force in a way.
Absolutely. And although it has been polluted and all of the things we have spoken of, due to the body of water upon this planet and due to people populating the land far more so than the water, you could say the degradation is not so impacted as it is upon the land. And therefore, in a way, you are going back in time as you are discovering into the waters what treasures it holds. But then with this new way, everything we have been speaking about today, with the change of heart, with the change of what people really want, with the change and the need and knowing about collaboration, far more of a view, not just quick, fast, and all of these things, but actually, how can we feed everyone in this way in a highly nutritious manner? How can we use the knowledge from the seas to help our land and so forth? It is happening, it is happening, it is happening. Many people listening may say, I've already been working in that. I've been working in that for decades. But we are expecting more of the populace as a whole to start to be seeing that and start to really honor that new tradition of foods that will be coming, that again, just as you eat now very differently than maybe you ate a decade ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, as we move into the future, particularly 20, 30, 40 years into the future, things like this, maybe looking back and say, why didn't people not do this before? But again, knowledge takes time, and the convert into having this in a way. I think of this, what we were talking about with the heart, how easily if somebody who had done all the research, all the knowing, could just share heart to heart to heart with those people that would then be taking on the agriculture of it, how quick and easy this would be without complication and misunderstanding. Understand? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Zach. And I'm very well aware that Hazel is back with us here. And Hazel, I think you also wanted to ask a question of Zach.
Well, I did. I just want to check with you first, because that has been just such an incredibly rich, magnificent, monumental conversation.
It really has. I'm just absolutely loving it here.
And I just want to make sure, Pam, that you have asked what you need to ask.
Yeah. Over
Yeah.
to you, Hazel.
Well, the reason I wanted to come back on is because, Zach, you shared with us something that I felt would be really lovely to share with Pam's community. And that was when we were talking about, in this month's deep dive that we had, about the upgrades within our blueprint, our own blueprint, so that there are advances in healing and self-healing that we can use. And I just thought it was a wonderful opportunity to share the intention that you shared with us with more people.
We have been speaking, have we not, different Hazel? For a long time now, we build upon it month upon month upon month with our chitty chats and our deep dives. And at the moment, we are moving. We have been talking a great deal regarding the importance of the evolution, gently and kindly, of the nervous system, of the impact of the heavens, the cosmos, shall we say, of all that people have been going through. We have been talking much about things to be aware of, things to be careful of, but also where we can really let go and go into, and how to inspire the changes. Now, through all of this is not just homework. This has been guidance, because it has been very tricky, very, very turbulent in people's physical bodies as well. And there has been such a struggle. This was expected, because the nervous system in particular, it really is the superhighway between the energetic self and the physical self. That is quite a crude way of putting it. There is so much more to it. But with the pressure of evolution, with the push, push, push to change, to change, to change on every level, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and of course, physically, this has been very, very tricky. Now we are coming into this time, particularly since the equinox that was gone, but particularly now coming up to the solstice as well, where you can reap the benefits. Wherever you are, whether this is the first time you've heard of all of this or not, you are in a position now where most people's nervous systems are more aligned to the energy state that is happening. And therefore, the signals that are going throughout your body to all the physical parts, your immunity and all of these different things and how your body works, but also on an energetic level, allowing a far more peaceful and comfortable, let us simply call it upgrade, to happen. And therefore, what is actually happening for all of you living at this time is an ability to be far more self-healing. For the energy, your cells in your body and everything that makes up your body on a physical level, which is of course being driven by the energy level, by everything we've been speaking of, the environment and so forth. Yes, you use the word blueprint, and we did use the word blueprint. I do not want people to be too confused, because we're using this in many different fashions. Your blueprint very much is to do with your soul self as well. So just to clarify, in this particular formation, what we're really talking here for health and well-being is that your sacred geometry is in a far more stable state now, in accordance with your nervous system and other, that allows a new level of being. And so the intention really, we have it in DP Dive. We talked a lot about respect. It is a very, very important word for the energy of it as much as everything else, and loyalty and many, many other things we got in that DP Dive. And all of these things have brought to this for this intention where if we simply say to ourselves, I allow myself to come into alignment in the most comfortable way with my new way of being, my blueprint, allowing all that is good that is coming to me, to allow anything to flow away from me at this particular point in time. Okay, bit of a mouthful. I said it a bit differently this time. But this is really about allowing the shift and change to happen, to allow in accordance with your environment. So being in coherence with everything we have been speaking of, this allows this, we've used it for ease, the term blueprint. It is really allowing the new self to find its feet, to really be allowed to develop and blossom within you. And we know it has been very, very hard, particularly the last few years, and people have had such difficulties on all different levels that it can be quite tricky to trust within, to trust self, to say, well, it hasn't been up until this point. Know that things have changed. Know that things have energetically changed. Environment has changed. Different things have changed. So as long as you are intending to allow this new parts of you, it's almost like you got something new and you just need to press go to allow it to happen. For full details, of course, better just simply to listen to Whole Deepy Dive where we go into it. This is very much in a nutshell at this point. But do know you are changing. You are changing. Whether you think, yes, I put all the hard work in, or whether you think I haven't really done anything, or you think that you've been a little bit all over the place. Energetically, you have been changing. Everything about this world has been changing at this time. But now it is a time to really take the benefits from it. So be kind to self, and allow yourself this new way of being. Trust in it because you have earned it, my dears. You have earned it. Understand? Yes.
Wow, yes, I am so delighted that you have shared that with everyone. And we can put some links below so that people can find out more, of course. Zach, it feels as though everything that you've shared today is really helping us take those steps to what so many people are talking about, the next level human, the future human, our next phase here on Earth. Pam, do you want to say anything before we say goodbye?
No, just a massive, massive thank you to Zach. I mean, his wisdom to me, it just blows me away. It's always extraordinary. It was thrilling to have those astrological aspects confirmed. Absolutely thrilling because that's what I'm zoning in on. So now a big cyber hug to Zach and Hazel and Janet, and just thank you for all that you've shared. And I know it's going to help people a great deal. So thank you for this opportunity to spend time with Zach. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, we're so delighted. And Zach, we love Pam.
Yes. And, we would like to just simply say one more thing. That we are simply articulating what is happening to aid some of the confusion, to help you along the way. Just follow your heart. If you think, oh, that's not for me right now, this is too much to think of, that is fine too. This is just simply here to allow you to find the truth in your own heart, to be able to move forward in the ways that is going to be most compatible and most comfortable for you. Because that is really what life is all about. Yes, it is about growth, it is about betterment, but ultimately it is about joy wherever you can find it. And if you can find it peacefully, quietly, within yourself, what better way is there to be?
Indeed, how profound. Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening and for Pam to be here with us today. Thank you. It's just been an absolute delight, such a rich and magnificent conversation that I will have to listen to many, many times, as I'm sure everyone listening will as well. So goodbye for now, and goodbye, Pam. Lots of love, and goodbye to you, dearest Zach, as well.
And love to everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you for
love to
listening. Love to
everyone.
everyone. Thank you, Zach.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.